Every neighborhood has secrets. On the surface, ours looked perfect: freshly trimmed lawns, kids riding their bikes, neighbors smiling politely as they waved from driveways. Holding it all together was the Homeowners Association, the HOA. At first, it felt harmless. They reminded us about trash bins, handed out notices about lawn care, and organized garage sales. But over time, the rules tightened. Small fines turned into heavy penalties. People stopped questioning the board's decisions, too afraid of being singled out. What once felt like community began to feel like control. And then it happened: my son Ethan was accused of something he never did. A whisper spread that he was a bully, a danger to other kids. At first, I thought it was just gossip, maybe a misunderstanding. But I didn't realize then that this false accusation wasn't just a rumor. It was the spark that would set everything on fire. The night it happened still plays in my head like a broken record. Ethan was walking home from robotics club, his backpack heavy with projects he was proud of. He never made it home. A white van pulled up beside him, 2 men grabbed him, and just like that, he was gone. The police searched, but the leads were thin. We checked cameras, asked neighbors, begged for help, but silence hung over everything. Then, a single note arrived in our mailbox. No ransom demand. No explanation. Just 4 words written in black ink: community comes before family. My stomach dropped. This wasn't random. This wasn't some stranger. It was someone from here, someone who believed the lie about Ethan and thought they were serving the rules. That's when Karen Tegan entered the picture. To outsiders, she was just the HOA president. To us, she was something else entirely. Clipboard always in hand, tactical vest like she was leading a private army. She spoke about order and safety as if she was the savior of the neighborhood. But behind that smile, she was building her own empire. She fined families into silence. She monitored people with cameras no one approved. And she convinced herself that Ethan, my 14-year-old boy, was the threat to her system. Karen didn't see Ethan as a child. She saw him as a symbol, something she needed to crush in order to prove her power. And that's why he was taken. When Ethan was finally found, we learned the truth. He had been kept in an abandoned storage unit on the edge of town. A mattress on the floor, a camera pointed at him, food delivered like he was some criminal in hiding. But Ethan wasn't broken. Somehow, even in that small dark room, he found strength. He kept himself busy, drawing circuits on scraps of paper, sketching out designs for robots he wanted to build. While Karen's men thought they were breaking him, he was waiting. Enduring. He wasn't just surviving, he was holding on to hope. That hope is what saved him. The breakthrough came when Kevin, Karen's own son, finally spoke. At first, he had gone along with his mother's story, too afraid to stand against her. But one night, he told the truth. Ethan had never bullied him. In fact, Ethan had defended him, stood up to kids in the cafeteria who mocked Kevin, helped him with robotics code when no one else would. Karen's entire justification for the abduction collapsed with that confession. She had told herself she was protecting her son. In reality, she was punishing the one person who had actually shown him kindness. When I told Ethan what Kevin had said, I saw the weight lift off his shoulders. For weeks, he had carried not only fear, but guilt for being accused of something so far from the truth. And now, finally, the lie was shattered. He wasn't a victim of circumstance. He was a hero in the middle of chaos. A boy who chose kindness over fists, and courage over silence. I told him we were proud, more than proud. For the first time since the abduction, Ethan smiled. A real smile. And in that moment, I knew Karen hadn't just kidnapped a boy. She had kidnapped the very thing she couldn't control: hope. Karen's arraignment was nothing short of a spectacle. News vans lined the courthouse steps, reporters swarming like bees. HOA president creates private police force, kidnaps teenager, flashed across headlines. Inside the courtroom, neighbors filled every seat, some curious, others seeking justice for the years of fines and harassment she had inflicted on them. Karen walked in wearing an orange jumpsuit, stripped of her authority, yet her eyes still burned with defiance. She pleaded not guilty, her lawyer painting her as a misunderstood community servant. But the charges stacked high: kidnapping, false imprisonment, conspiracy, racketeering, theft, illegal surveillance. Each word echoed like a nail in her coffin. The prosecutor's words cut through the room like a blade. He described Karen not as a pillar of the community, but as its jailer. He laid out the surveillance, the embezzlement, the armed abduction. The evidence was undeniable. Video footage. Financial records. Testimony from her own son. When he asked the judge to deny bail, the room held its breath. Then the gavel fell. Bail is denied. For the first time, Karen cracked. She screamed, pounded the table, cried out that she was the savior, the only one strong enough to enforce the rules. But no one believed her anymore. As guards dragged her away, her cries echoed like a ghost of power already gone. Afterward, her husband approached us quietly, his face pale, twisting his wedding band with trembling fingers. He apologized for not stopping her, for not believing Kevin sooner. He told us Kevin was grateful to Ethan for helping with the robot code, for standing up for him in the cafeteria. It was a small moment, but one that mattered. In that quiet exchange, we saw something bigger than punishment. We saw healing begin. Not just for Ethan, but for Kevin too, a boy caught between loyalty to a mother and admiration for a friend. Weeks passed. The HOA collapsed. Investigations, resignations, headlines, it all unraveled. But at home, Ethan still carried scars. He jumped at small sounds. Slept lightly. Therapy helped, but time was the real medicine. Then, one day, he asked if he could speak at a student assembly on rights and safety. My first instinct was to shield him, to keep him away from the spotlight. But he looked at me and said, "If I don't speak, she wins." And so, under bright lights, in front of students, parents, and teachers, Ethan told his story. He spoke about rights, about rules, about courage. His voice was steady, stronger than I'd ever heard it. And when the crowd stood and clapped, I knew, he wasn't just my son anymore. He was a voice, a reminder, a survivor. Karen had tried to silence him, but instead, she gave him a stage. The storm had passed. The scars were real. But my son was still here, stronger, louder, and somehow bigger than before.